Hi everyone, Tanya Wills. Welcome to the Cancer Project. I'm a midwife in New York City and I am fighting stage 2 breast cancer. So if you want to hear my shit, I got something to tell you today. I had my 4th and final treatment of AC, Red Devil chemo, and you know what? I'm breaking up with AC. Today I want to talk to you about my reflections on 4 rounds of chemotherapy with AC, what they call Red Devil chemo. And you know, it's funny, I was just watching the other day like my first video that I made about AC and how bright and shiny I was, and I felt like the side effects weren't that bad and it just was going to be totally tolerable. And let me tell you something. This stuff built up in my system so much that if you've already watched my video about my 3rd AC treatment, it was really starting to take me down. And let me tell you what happened in my 4th AC treatment. I was at the oncologist that day and I was sitting on the table and the nurse practitioner, Danielle, walked in and she went, "Last AC, woohoo!" And I said, "I'm going to try and talk to you without crying." And I just started sobbing about how sick I felt after my 3rd AC, and I felt like my hangover just lasted almost the whole 2 weeks. I felt like I had like one good day before I was going to get my 4th treatment, and it was really starting to mess with my mind. So here are all the things that happened to me during AC that got me to that point. So the first thing was definitely the mood swings. And I think I talked about this last time, but this idea that, you know, I'd be on steroids for 3 days and feeling really good, and then had this huge crash, and then this constant, just kind of nasty hangover feeling that I could never really get rid of. I never knew when the nausea was going to come or when it was going to go away, but I essentially never felt normal through that whole time, and that really wore me down. One of the thoughts that went through my head, I'm doing all of this and like, what's the point? The cancer can still come back. I really went to some dark places. That was really exhausting. People tried so much to help me through that. I think emotionally, AC for me ultimately was very challenging. I don't think I mentioned this before, but I started having hot flashes. So one of the things that happens in chemo is a lot of women go through what they call chemo pause, and essentially your body is so stressed out that it suppresses your ovaries and you start having perimenopausal symptoms. And so I started having them as well. And so my hot flashes basically for the most part only happen at night when I'm under the covers. I'm a person who is always cold, like I'm always cold. So I always kind of like snuggle up under the blankets and it has to be really warm for me. And so all night long what happens is I kind of wake up soaking wet and hot, and then I take the covers off of me, and then I'm freezing cold in like 2 seconds, and then I put them back on and I'm hot again, and I take them off and I'm cold again, and this kind of goes on all night. They're kind of mild, but it disrupts my sleep, and it's just like one more thing to add to the pile. I've talked about it in many videos before, but there was nothing that made me more miserable than the digestive stuff that I did experience, which was champion level constipation and heartburn like nobody's business. And finally, after my 3rd AC, I did figure out that I really should be taking Prilosec twice a day throughout the rest of this treatment, and that has helped me a lot. Anytime I think that I can eat something normal, like a salad or a raw vegetable or a piece of fruit that's raw, that's not cooked or anything like that, it makes me gassy and constipated and heartburn and all of these things. So foods that are easy to digest were really key for me. Even on the days when I was feeling good, soups, these kinds of things really helped. I remember telling my nurse one time, if I could just be like a head and legs, I would be happy. Bone pain. They give you this shot of Neulasta to help your body make more white blood cells so you don't get sick. So I was taking these injections and sort of I felt a little bit of soreness in the beginning, and it was not a big deal. But what ended up happening by the end of AC was that I started having classic Neulasta pain. And what that added up to for me was throbbing pain in my sternum, in the middle of my back, and in my lower back that would come on like an attack. So I would feel my heart start to pound, and then I would have this uncontrollable pain attack, like almost like a spasm. And it would only last like, I don't know, 15 seconds or 30 seconds or something like this. A little bit of advice: Googling pain when you're in cancer treatment is a really bad idea, because of course, one of the things that we always worry about in cancer is that it can spread, and one of the first places that it can spread to in breast cancer is your bones, and nobody wants that to happen. I don't want that to happen. So this Neulasta pain was very, very scary for me and very, very depressing for me. And one of the things that Danielle did was she showed me on my lab work that I sort of had the classic clinical presentation of the bone pain from Neulasta, and then also we could see that my white blood cells were actually super high. I was really sensitive to Neulasta. That same visit they were also preparing me for my first dose of Taxol, which is going to be my next medication. And in there, they already told me to start taking half a dose of Neulasta because my body is so sensitive to it. So I never think of myself as like super sensitive to medications, but in this case, I was. If you're watching this and you're a person who's got breast cancer, Neulasta pain, if you feel it, is no joke and can be really scary. I definitely fell into that, and it really messed with my head and exhausted me and gave me a lot of days where I felt hopeless. I've never seen the Neulasta commercial, but I've heard that it's like got people just looking really happy in between their chemo treatments. But a lot of people who are on chemo who take Neulasta report this, and I'm definitely one of them. So the other thing that I experienced on AC was champion level fatigue. Like, kind of nothing really will put me down, but this is like one of these situations where like the more it built up in my system, definitely after the third treatment and certainly after the fourth treatment, like, oh man, I'd be good for a couple of days, and when that steroid crash happened, I really got tired, couldn't keep my eyes open, was sleeping 14, 16 hours a night, and then waking up and just feeling like I can't even be productive. I don't even want to be productive. I don't even want to watch TV. Like, I don't want to even do anything. Like, I just want to go back to sleep. And that also like added to the sense of hopelessness for me in those really low dips. It was really, really tough. I don't need to tell you again about my hair falling out and like all of the emotions that came with that. So if you're on AC chemo, chances are you're going to experience this whole hair loss thing. They tell me that AC chemo is what gives breast cancer patients their look. I definitely went through all of that, and I'm just like rocking my headscarves now and totally getting used to it, and it's fine and it's very comfortable. But I still miss my hair a little bit. I do. One thing I will say that I experienced on AC chemo is that my skin is like totally clear. It's also pretty dry. I've taken to moisturizing my face now with straight up coconut oil. It seems to be working pretty good, but my skin is really clear. There's nothing going on there. So that's kind of a plus and a minus. My skin is pretty dry, but that's another thing that I found from AC. So overall, my review of AC chemo is, it was hard, but you can do it, and it's worth it if you need it. If I could turn back the clock, I would not decline it. I would do it again, and I'm glad that I had my support system, but the truth is, AC can suck it. I'm glad to be done with it. And my understanding is that you can actually only receive AC chemo one time in your life. So if my cancer ever comes back, they can't give me AC. They would give me some other stuff. And so it's good to know that I don't know what's going to happen with my cancer, but I never have to go through AC ever again. That's it for today. I hope that you found it helpful. It was really rough at the end, but I feel relieved that it's over, and glad that you're still watching if you're still here. Next week, I'm going to have my first dose of Taxol, so I'll tell you all about what that was like. I'm doing dose-dense Taxol, so I'll be getting 4 more treatments in Taxol, so you can watch here. And also, my meeting with the radiation oncologist is coming up, and my meeting with the surgeon is coming up, so I'll have all that for you right here. See you soon. Like and subscribe.